Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to book review on the 10 Things channel. Hmm. Oh, this, wow, it's interesting. Okay, it's book review on 10 Things channel. This is my first book to come out. 20 Things I Wish I Had Mastered by age 30 for a Life of Excellence. And if you have come to my channel, you will see that I've had a narrative of the chapter one. But chapter two is even more interesting because chapter two talks about something that a lot of us don't want to talk about. It talks about the powerful effects of habit. The powerful effects of habit. Now, basically, what is a habit? A habit is something that you've done so often that you cannot do it without conscious thought. That's the simple definition of habit. And once you begin to see habit in this definition, you begin to see it in everything you do. You'll be shocked to know that the knowledge you have, in fact, the knowledge you have in terms of the things you learn through education, the ones that you know, the one that you call your skill, is a habit you have acquired. That is why when somebody goes through military training, it doesn't fade from the person's life. Even if the person becomes a civilian, the person continues to exhibit those traits because it's a habit. It's not like something you learn that you can compartmentalize it and leave it somewhere else. Now, habits, because they are on autopilot, because they are the body's autonomous, you know, way of deploying things and doing things, they are very, 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 very powerful because they happen without our conscious intervention. And most of the time, habits are only brought to attention by the people who feels its effect in their life. Now, so we have talked about the very powerful effects of habit. Everything about us is habit because everything we do, there are several millions of things happening in our body which are controlled, by the brain and the rest. And the brain, after no wonder the brain takes about 25% of the energy that we take from the body. And a lot of that energy too also goes to giving us sight. So the brain, being a very efficient machine as was made by God, puts many things that it learns to do. It's like you call what we call machine learning. It was already happening in our body. So as we learn to do something and perfect it to a point, then it's pushed to auto mode, and then the thing begins to happen by itself. Whether it was a good thing or not, the brain pushes it to auto mode where it's dealt with in connection with the spine and spinal column, and dealt in connection with the part of the brain that's not there with conscious thought. And then so the brain can concentrate on learning new things because the brain is constantly learning. Actually, you'll be surprised. Everything you know, you learn it, and the ones that you know that you keep doing unawares are the habitual part of the things you know. And normally, to be an expert, you need to have habitual knowledge of the subject, of the practice, to a point where it comes out of you effortlessly without conscious thought. Then when you get to that stage, you say, and there are many people who have gotten to that stage in sports. There are people who have gotten to that stage in sport. There are people who have gotten to that stage in certain professions and the rest. And only those people can actually go far and make worldwide impact. Because there are many times when we introduce thought because of fear, because of feelings, because of moods, conscious thought normally prevents us and interferes with our processing, our conscious processing of things, and makes us delay, or it interferes with the perfect delivery. So you find a footballer who has perfected the act of shooting and the rest, and therefore shoots from every corner, shoot whether he's pushed or is not, and the rest. And such a footballer is called a world class striker. The others that do things because everything he has to think. He's thinking of whether somebody has gone forward and the rest, and doesn't therefore do as well and becomes an average performer. So in 20 things I wish I had done for life of excellence. The chapter two is talking about the powerful effects of habit. Remember, if somebody is prejudiced against you, it's because the person has a habit of seeing you that way. Because a person has had a habit of encountering a certain negative um, part of the life of people like you, and therefore does not want to go through the trouble of anytime he sees somebody like you going through the same assessment process. Therefore, when he sees anybody who is black, when he sees anybody who's of this age bracket, then he has to associate it with the previous experience and say that since it has happened in the past like this, it means all people in this bracket, all people who look like this behave like that. That's just the essence of prejudice. It's the same with racism. It's the same with all kinds of discrimination. It's all a habit that makes us find it is easier not to always form relationship to know people, but just to find some screen through which we can relate to people. Now, this I wrote this book because fundamentally, when you come to the Christian extreme, most of our learnings have to do with spiritual things, and yet we are living our life as spiritual people in a physical world. Therefore, our spiritual issues must be brought to bear on our spiritual life. We must be Daniels wherever we are, who are known to have the mind of the Spirit of God and at the same time the integrity of a holy man at our workplaces for several employers, for several kings in that situation. I want to bring into attention some of the things that are habits so that you will understand how to get them. Now, we are talking about habits here because we are want to achieve excellence. And for you to achieve excellence, as I will explained, remember when um, they wanted to have a more efficiency in the way the gears move in the car, they moved it from um, manual to automatic, and even the continuous variation and the rest came. Every time they move forward into making the car actually auto drive unto a point now that now cars can do we have lane assist that can change lanes by itself. We have cars that have till trans opening by itself. We have cars that can spark itself. See, increasingly, like a human mind behaves, we move to automation because it brings efficiency, it brings it brings relief, from the many activities we have to do. Now, interestingly, interestingly, um, when it comes to human behavior, we tend to actually pick habits which are not right. We pick that one more than the habits which are right and want to deal with it. Our character is the epitome of habit. It's just the behaviors that we have practiced over the years and have served us well. Nobody picks a character that was frowned upon and punished, you know, by the powers, authorities that were in that environment. Every kind of excess in our life are excesses that be allowed by the powers in terms of parents, guardians, teachers who were in our life and saw it and just let it go. Bible is clear when it says that foolishness is in the heart of a child. Because we come into this world with no consciousness of anything, with no character. We come and pick everything from here. And the environment we have shapes us and shapes our habits. So that our habits, if they are allowed to be bad, they will keep repeating bad things. But if they are habits that are shaped to be good, they will pick up the habit of good behavior, and then we keep repeating it, and then others see us as good people. If somebody says he knows you, what the person is really saying is that he knows your habits, you know, and because he knows your habits, he can vouch for you because they are repetitive. They happen even unconsciously. So you can say that as for this person, he cannot do that. In the same way, we must understand that because habits are not indelible by themselves, they have just been imprinted by continuous use and by ease of use. In the same way, consciously, we can intervene in a habit and change it with another habit. As I said, the best way to actually offset a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit, actually. Because our mind will always be doing one habit or the other. There cannot be a vacuum. The Bible says even in possession, demon possession, once the demon is driven out and when he returns and finds it empty, there's no vacuum in this in this way God does things actually. Even in the vacuum of space, there are many things that are floating there. God does not leave anything in the vacuum because He's not a wasteful God. So this what you call chapter, the chapter is talking about the powerful effects of habit. The powerful effects of habit. You need to get this book, and you'll be shocked at the many, many, many things that you don't know about habit. You see, if you talk about your wife's behavior, you're talking about her habits. Even the character you talk about is her habits. Habits that have been crystallized and have become known to us are what we call character. Actually, there are many of our habits we are not even conscious of, unless people who are close to us bring to our attention. You know, there are many, 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 many habits of ours that, unless we are under pressure, unless we are pushed to the wall, they don't show forth. But they are built in our system, awaiting the right triggers to respond. You know, for them to show forth. Actually, um, so and we have said severally, as I said, that because habit determine your personality, because the habit determine your effectiveness, because habits impact on your relationship, we need to know what they are actually. We need to know what they are and deal with them actually. And so we know that basically for the Greco-Roman analysis when it comes to the temperaments of humans, you see temperaments are also tendencies, habits of human, emotional habit, our emotional responses to things. And as we know, we have the sanguine, we have the choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholic. And all of these are tendencies. That's why we have the good sides and the bad sides. See, there's a good side to everything. Why? Because if you're allowed, you're a go-getter. That will give you leeways to do go into access where you are not even needed to allow, you become loud. If you are quiet, you will be seen as wise, as temperate. But then where you're supposed to speak up, you will not speak up. So every nature and its disadvantage. And this great book, 20 Things I Wish I Had Mastered by Age 30 for a Life of Excellence, will actually break down why you need to know your habits and then replace the old habits which are making you average, below average person with even a better habit that is going to lift you up onto greater heights actually, onto greater heights. So where will you find this book? This book is on Amazon. I mean, we have the Kindle version, which is about $5, and then we have the um, paperback version, which is about $10. The richness of this book and the price, they don't match at all. They don't match. They don't match at all. So go to Amazon. Just search my name, Alexander Ajimai, and you'll find the book there, and you'll be extremely blessed. It's one of my top sellers actually, and it's doing so well on Amazon. And just go and learn about habits, and you will be shocked as to what you can do with the habits and what you can achieve. You see, addictions are just habits on steroids. It's like habits out of control. I mean, extremely out of control. Those are addictions, actually. If you like something, it's like it's a habit. You're saying that you have grown to habitually have a good disposition to that thing. Even the choice of wife is a habit you picked. The woman that came your way, your mother and the rest. That's why most people marry people who are like their mothers. And that is also why most of the time the daughters find it difficult relating to the mothers because they are just like them. And the very likes repel, opposite normally attract. It is also why you usually marry the opposite of you. Because you have the habits of doing certain things, and you want somebody who does not have your habit because you're conscious of your bad side. So you'll be very conscious of the good side of the person, which will be your bad side, and then your good side will be her bad side. So that's how come um, you like your wife when you first meet her and you don't see a bad side about her. And then once you marry to a point, then the very things that you used to see will be overshadowed by her also her bad parts, or if you're a lady by his bad part. and then you need to learn to manage them to see that these are all habits. They don't clearly define the person. Actually, Bible makes us clear that we can mortify the desires of the flesh. Bible makes us clear that we can just bind the loins of our mind and the rest. And so no habit is beyond redemption. Please don't have the excuse that it's your habit and it's permanent. No habit is permanent. As I said, it's something that has been learned, something that has been acquired. It can be unlearned, it can be undone, and a better one choose to replace it. God bless you even as you get for yourself 20 things I wish I had mastered by 8:30. God bless you. Shalom. See you on Amazon. God bless you.